a lenda que Afrodite, a deusa da beleza e do amor, nasceu do azul profundo do mar na ponta de Pafos, o extremo sul dessa ilha mediterrânea que já pertenceu ao Império Otomano e depois ao Império Britânico. Nessa região se concentram os ingleses, 30 mil aproximadamente, entre colonos e soldados das extensas bases militares de Episcope, 3 vezes maiores que a base americana de Guantánamo, em Cuba. Um pouco mais adiante está Limassol, a pequena cidade que os cipriotas costumam chamar de a Pequena Moscou. Aqui vivem entre 40 e 50 mil imigrantes, não apenas russos, mas de nacionalidades diversas que integravam o território da antiga União Soviética. A cidade de Nicósia serve de linha divisória para um país dentro do país. Um país que se auto-intitula a República Turca do Chipre do Norte, com cerca de 200 mil cidadãos turco-otomanos. Sim, existe um outro muro de Berlim na Europa, e ele fica aqui, em Nicósia, a sede do governo greco-cipriota. Bem-vindos à República do Chipre, uma nação de apenas 800 mil habitantes, um membro da família europeia mais próximo do Oriente Médio, e mais um filho rebelde que ameaça se desgarrar da zona do euro, aumentando ainda mais a distância entre os países do norte e os países do sul no continente europeu. Oito da noite eles ainda estão lá, na porta do parlamento. São membros de mais um movimento europeu que desacredita os partidos políticos, o Acorda Chipre.
I'm worried about my country and I am worried about the future of my children.
Troika want our gas and oil. The people of Cyprus have to decide for the future.
Tem sido assim desde o dia 17 de março, quando a Troika, a forma comum com que o povo costuma denominar o trio de instituições que rege os destinos dos países da União Europeia, decidiu romper no Chipre a regra básica que até agora regia o comportamento dos bancos em crise, a de que o dinheiro do cliente é sagrado e suas poupanças intocáveis. Segundo o projeto original que foi apresentado em Bruxelas ao presidente Nikos Anastasiades, ele deveria dividir o peso dos 10 bilhões de euros que precisa para resgatar seus bancos com um imposto impopular sem precedentes sobre todos os depósitos. 6,75% para todos que tivessem menos de 100 mil euros no banco e 10% para as contas mais gordas, acima deste valor. No total, o Chipre arrecadaria 5 bilhões e 800 milhões do valor do resgate. Era isso ou a bancarrota. O parlamento cipriota preferiu a bancarrota. Uma semana depois, e uma nova solução.
Have a good night. Good morning.
Cai a ideia da taxação dos depósitos, mas o Chipre terá que se comprometer a enxugar seu sistema bancário desproporcionalmente grande. O Like Bank, a instituição financeira mais problemática no quadro atual, simplesmente deixa de existir. Suas contas abaixo de 100 mil euros serão transferidas para o Banco do Chipre. As contas que acumulam valor superior serão congeladas. Resumindo a história, um total de 4 bilhões e 200 milhões de euros em depósitos deverão ser simplesmente varridos das contas bancárias.
The Eurozone cannot survive if they continue like this. Which country will remain? Small country, weaker country, with, Greece was serving, I think, 80 or 90% of the demands of the people by their own production. Today, it is in 1-digit percentage. All the German products throw out the local products.
Sure.
So the same now happens to a lesser degree in Spain, in Portugal, even in Italy. So how will they accept it? We join together to be happier, to be richer, to have a better life. We did enjoy so that the life of a small part of Europe becomes richer and richer, and the rest of the Europe become neo-colonial subjects to that part. So I don't believe that there will be any future unless this idea collapses and they realize that there must be a real solidarity and not this kind of blackmail that they claim to impose on Cyprus.
Uma pergunta continua intrigando a todos. Se até agora, nessa crise de efeito dominó que atinge a Europa nos últimos anos, a Troika concedeu 50 bilhões de euros de resgate na Grécia, 70 bilhões na Irlanda, 40 bilhões na Espanha, por que esse rigor com um país que precisa de apenas 10 bilhões para sanar suas contas?
Aber natürlich gehört dazu dann auch Eigenleistungen wie Privatisierung, wie Strukturreformen, wie die Erhöhung auch von Steuersätzen, die in Zypern bis jetzt sehr, sehr niedrig waren.
Uma ponta do novelo cipriota pode ser entendida a partir deste dia de festa em Nicósia. É 24 de março e os estudantes estão nas ruas. Fazem isso todos os anos para reafirmar o patriotismo de Enosis, o da união do Chipre com a Grécia. Comemoram a data da eclosão da rebelião de 1821, contra séculos do domínio turco-otomano. A ideia de um só povo, uma só cultura e uma só nação helênica só seria mesmo sepultada pelos ingleses em 1950, quando ignoraram um referendo conduzido pelo arcebispo Macários, em que 96% da população da ilha se manifestava a favor da incorporação à Grécia. Macários partiu então para a luta pela independência do Chipre, conquistada 10 anos depois. Começou a escalada da violência entre a maioria cipriota e a minoria turca que vivia na ilha. Uma segunda ponta do novelo cipriota pode ser puxada a partir da fama de paraíso fiscal.
Right after the invasion of 1974, when the economy had suffered as a result of the events of 1974, a decision was taken by the governments of the time to introduce a low corporate tax rate, a low rate on companies. And this attracted many foreign companies to the country, and these companies brought along their own deposits. Later, when we entered the European Union, we of course agreed that this low tax rate would be within the limits permitted by the European Union, so we have a corporate tax rate of 10%, which is the lowest in Europe, but still within the permitted levels of EU acquis.
How much it is in Luxembourg, for instance?
I think it's around there still. And in Malta, Bulgaria. But what this meant was that many companies came to Cyprus, they brought along their deposits, and the banking sector of Cyprus grew to 7 or 8 times the size of the economy, which meant that our banks were loaded with money much beyond the extent to which liquidity was needed for the local economy.
I see.
So when the Greek crisis started and the yields on Greek bonds were rising, our banks went and invested a lot of money in the Greek bonds. And then the European Union came and they asked for a haircut of the Greek debt. And it so happened that the greater exposure to Greek bonds, to Greek debt, was on behalf of the Cypriot banks. So the country which lost the largest amounts as a result of the decision of the European Union to impose a haircut on Greek bonds was Cyprus. I mean, we lost between 10 and 14 billion as a result of the haircut that was actually imposed on us, by the European Union.
Much more than any other country.
Much more than any other country. Of course, this is, I think, a mistake on the part of the previous president, that we didn't negotiate the haircut, in the sense that we didn't manage to convince our European Union partners that Cyprus could not bear the largest part of the burden of supporting the Greek economy.
How much of the Greek bonds you had? What was the percentage?
People mention different numbers, but there is a Fitch report of June 2011, which indicates that Cyprus had a total exposure to the Greek economy of 45 billion euro. 20 of these were placed in Greek bonds, and 24 in the way of loans to Greek businesses and Greek households. So with the haircut of around 70%, 14 billion were immediately lost.
And this own money, is it Russian, as the media, European media, tries to look?
No, it's a good question, because I understand that the focus of the European Union was Russian deposits or foreign deposits, in the sense that the European Union considers, and to a large extent this is true, that the reason why deposits in our banks became 7 or 8 times the size of the economy was because we had attracted a lot of foreign deposits. But if foreign deposits was the problem, then the decision of Eurogroup should have targeted foreign deposits themselves and not the Cypriot businessman.
Quando a crise cipriota estourou, as autoridades de Berlim e Bruxelas apontaram o dedo para Limassol, a pequena Moscou cipriota. Hoje, Limassol é o cenário preferido de 9 entre 10 jornalistas que circulam pelo Chipre à procura dos oligarcas russos que lavam dinheiro nos bancos do país.
President Putin lent large amount of money last year just to help.
Billion, yeah.
Yes. Do you believe that in a certain way this is something that made the leaders, the European leaderships, believe that perhaps he was getting too much close to their own territory or something like that?
Well, there is an issue of East and West, as you know. And there was always this competition between two parts of the world. Cyprus has become a member of the European Union in 2004, so it became part of Europe. However, Russians had tight bonds with Cyprus for many, many years before European Union, and they continued working. So when these problems started, Russians were discussing also how to help more, how to find a solution, and how can Russians be helpful in this crisis. And Europeans didn't like this. And I heard one of the statements of Merkel, that Miss Merkel, she was saying that why would Cyprus go to Russia if it's an EU state?
You said that you cannot figure a number of how many Russian deposits you have here.
Well, the mass media states it is around 35 billion.
35.
Yes, but it's very difficult to say because many Russians, they have nominees. So it's not sure the exact number, but I do not want to call Cyprus as a pro-Russian and only Russian money-saving place, because there are a lot of Europeans that place here their deposits as well.
Mas o novelo cipriota tem ainda uma terceira ponta, escondida sob o mar de sua costa. Um tesouro estimado em mais de 3 trilhões de metros cúbicos de gás, aproximadamente o que o mundo inteiro consome em um ano, e descoberto por um consórcio cipriota, israelense e americano num poço sugestivamente chamado de Afrodite. É um tesouro com muitos interessados em sua exploração, inclusive o poderoso consórcio russo Gazprom, principal fornecedor da Europa.
How can we relate no discovery of gas, natural resources in the coast with this problem?
I happen to be I was the minister who had conducted, under whose supervision, the first exploratory drilling in the exclusive economic zone of Cyprus was conducted, and we had discovered natural gas in December 2011. Noble Energy, an American company, had won the contract at that point of time. The minister who followed signed agreements with 5 other companies, French companies and Italian companies mostly, in 5 other blocks. But of course work there has not started yet.
Not Russian.
Yes, that's why this thing about Russian involvement in gas is just talk. When I was a minister, we had introduced a plan under which we would have started extraction work in January 2013, 2 months ago, with the aim of bringing natural gas to Cyprus in 2016. But somehow this plan of work was abandoned after I was thrown out of the government. And one wonders why these plans have been delayed, because what I really am saying is that to the extent that we had started extraction, we could have persuaded our European Union partners and Troika that we had revenue to be coming from the drilling and the sale of natural gas, which we could have pledged to the Troika and to the European Union as a way of repayment of the loan which we need to sustain the banking sector and the economy. Somehow, leadership of the country, the ruling leadership, both the previous president and the current president, did not want to bring natural gas in the equation of addressing the crisis.
I've been hearing a lot about President Anastasiadis speaking about this.
And President Christofias as well. They said we want to keep the gas outside the deal. But if the Cypriot people are sitting on a treasure, which is called natural gas, and we are in a position to use this treasure through the revenues that we will gain after extraction and sale, and we are in a position to use this treasure to repay the loan that we need now in a time of need, why shouldn't we be doing it? And we have condemned the Cypriot people, the ordinary citizen, into 10 or 20 years of economic and social misery just because we want to keep the gas in a safe place for use by I don't know whom.
Difícil medir com precisão as consequências do enquadramento da pequena República do Chipre ao redesenho geopolítico das potências europeias que está em curso no continente. O que parece mais claro é a distância crescente entre o discurso oficial da União Europeia e o sentimento de traição que está se entranhando nos corações e mentes que até pouco tempo embarcavam no sonho de uma Europa próspera e unida.
From now we start the shops closed. You see people walking on the street, full of people going and coming. Now it's empty. It's like a dead city. All the shops mostly are closed.
We just accept cash payments. We don't accept credit cards. We don't trust the banks anymore. We don't trust Europe anymore.
Vista de Bruxelas, sede da União Europeia e da OTAN, a crise no Chipre tem uma cor diferente do preto e branco que pinta um país minúsculo, sofrendo em mãos de vizinhos poderosos, sem ter feito nada de errado. A ilha próxima de Grécia e Turquia ganhou fama como uma espécie de Caimã mediterrânea, ou Suíça com mar. É um paraíso fiscal para dinheiro que tenta se esconder, sobretudo recursos que vêm da Rússia. Bilionários russos montaram empresas de fachada no Chipre e entupiram os cofres dos bancos cipriotas, que agora balançam porque investiram mal os recursos em caixa. Com tanta aplicação a escolher pelo mundo, optaram por investir na Grécia, aquela mesmo que está quase na bancarrota. E agora arrasta para o buraco os bancos cipriotas, que em pânico pedem socorro a seu governo e à União Europeia. Quando os pedidos de ajuda chegam a Bruxelas, os países membros da União Europeia levam em conta a reação de seus cidadãos, que se perguntam: por que meu dinheiro de contribuinte deve ir para ajudar um país que virou cassino financeiro com recursos ilegais de russos ricos.
They are not only targeting foreign depositors, because if that was the reason and they believe that foreign deposits is the root of the problem, that might have been fair. But they have also targeted and victimized small and medium-sized enterprises, Cypriot companies which are not dealing with the financial sector, Cypriot companies in the construction sector, in the manufacturing sector, in tourism, that have to do with the real economy, small and medium-sized enterprises of Cypriot origin which just happen to keep their company accounts with these two major banks. And now these companies have been suddenly deprived of all the cash they had to continue their business in the real economy or to pay their employees. And this is leading to bankruptcy many of the Cypriot small and medium-sized enterprises in the real economy.
Nem ao menos sobra medo entre os países da zona do euro de que a bancarrota da ilha possa provocar catástrofe para o resto do grupo. Chipre, afinal, tem um PIB menor que 0,5% da União Europeia. Até um eventual abandono do euro como moeda teria impacto moderado no resto do grupo que adota a moeda comum, a não ser pelo precedente. Não bastasse essas considerações financeiras, Bruxelas olha para Chipre com a má vontade da outra instituição de peso sediada na capital belga, a OTAN. Essa aliança militar de americanos e europeus implica com a proximidade entre Nicósia e Moscou. Há suspeitas, inclusive, de que os cipriotas passem aos russos segredos militares que adquirem como membros da OTAN.
The poll says that 2 in 3 Cypriots want to get out of the Eurozone. What do you think is going to happen?
I think that would be a disaster. Of course, you know, feelings run high these days in Cyprus. People may not be that much to blame, but leadership has a lot to blame in the sense that they didn't allow, local leadership has not allowed the Cypriots to understand what the root of the problem was. I mean, this huge expansion of the banking sector, the irresponsible investment that our banks made in Greek bonds, the irresponsible decision of the previous president to accept the haircut of Greek bonds without explaining that Cyprus was getting so much hurt. He should have negotiated this. And because we didn't explain to Cypriots that mistakes were also done on the part of the Cypriot leadership, people in the street think that suddenly a European Union decided to penalize us.
Do you believe that the Eurozone is able to survive within the next years?
Eurozone and Europe will be able to survive to the extent that current leadership in Europe remembers the reasons why the European Union was founded and the vision which had inspired the fathers of the European Union. Because the European Union was created out of the ashes of the Second World War, and the main aim of the fathers of the European Union at the time was to prevent the outbreak of another war in Europe.
Bravo!